On today's Meir Kin channel, Aguna activists are commemorating today, Tanis Esther, as World Aguna Day. But the question arises, does Queen Esther's accomplishments lend credence to Aguna activism? Or is Queen Vashti the real paradigm of the fake Aguna movement? Let's dive into this topic right now. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Meir Kin channel, where I give you the information you need about authentic Jewish divorce law and expose the fiction, lies, and deception promulgated by the unlearned, the corrupted rabbis, feminist Jewish organizations, and some women themselves. We all know the story of Purim. King Achashverosh was king over 127 provinces. One day, he throws a lavish party and invites many dignitaries. King Achashverosh was not what you call the most modest and discreet, but quite flamboyant in that he enjoyed flaunting his prized possessions, which included his beautiful Queen Vashti. Since plenty of alcohol was served at the party, the king became quite inebriated and spoke as many drunks speak, very incoherent and very stupid. He ordered that Queen Vashti come to his party wearing her birthday suit. She, of course, refused the king's demand, and the rest is history. In those days, it was not as common to publicly defy or disrespect a husband as Vashti has done. In fact, we see in the Megillah that the advisors of King Achashverosh, especially Haman, in an effort to restore his dignity, managed to convince him to issue an edict that would require every woman to respect her husband. As it states, V'chol hanoshim yitnu yakar lebalehen. Therefore, it is possible that Vashti, who preceded Gloria Steinem, is the progenitor of feminism, as she is perhaps the first celebrity to defy her husband publicly. We have today one Aguna activist who appears to be enamored with Vashti.
I always wanted to meet Vashti. I always wanted to hear from her.
So why are other Aguna activists identifying with Queen Esther and not Vashti? Is it because in the story of Purim, Vashti was turned into a villain and they don't want to be identified as followers of a villain? Or do they identify with Queen Esther because she was, in their eyes, an Aguna? Let's analyze this. Queen Esther was forced to marry King Achashverosh, something that is not prevalent today. Queen Esther cannot receive a get from Achashverosh since he wasn't Jewish. The fact that she couldn't leave that marriage, that she was chained to that marriage, is also not a good paradigm for the Aguna movement, as our sages teach us that Esther was one of 7 prophetesses, and she understood that her forced marriage to Achashverosh was a divine plan to rescue the entire Jewish population that resided across the 127 provinces of the kingdom. Did any of Queen Esther's actions demonstrate any solidarity with the Aguna movement? Did Esther, in her capacity as queen, ever help pass legislation advancing any woman's causes? The answer is no. Queen Esther and Mordechai, the heroes of the story of Purim, are the paradigm of selfless individuals who were dedicated to the entire Jewish nation as a whole in ensuring their survival. Queen Esther had all the reason to be embittered by her fate as an imprisoned wife of a tyrant king, and if she wanted, she could have been instrumental as a queen in passing some sort of legislation to advance women's rights. Instead, she stood strong as a valiant example of true Jewish femininity and recognized the importance of men, women, and children in Jewish society and risked her life to save all of them. There are many lessons from Megillas Esther that contradict or counter the mantra of modern-day Aguna activists. The sages tell us that a hint to the famous Haman can be found in Bereshis chapter 3, Pasuk 11. After Hashem commanded Adam and Chava to eat from all the fruits of the garden except the Eitz Hadas, we all know the rest of the story. Chava gave her husband the forbidden fruit, and the world was never the same. So the Pasuk states that Hashem spoke to Adam and said, Hamin ha'etz? The word Hamin is spelled like the word Haman. So what is the significance or the connection between the story of Adam and Chava to Haman? The answer is that Adam and Chava were given everything they could imagine to enjoy in this world, with the exception of one tree that Hashem forbade them to partake, but they were unable to abstain, and as a result committed a grave sin for which we still suffer the ramifications until today. Similarly, Haman was one of the richest men in the world. He had everything that any man in his day could wish for. But the Megillah states that he could not enjoy his wealthy status, all because of one man who would not bow down to him, and that was Mordechai. We have one forbidden tree in Parshas Bereshis and one recalcitrant person, Mordechai, who refused to bow down to Haman. So in my opinion, the story of Purim teaches us a lesson against the fake Aguna movement, aka the Me movement. Queen Esther and Mordechai could have identified with the Me movement and saved themselves from the decree of King Achashverosh, but instead focused all their efforts on including men, women, and children in their quest to save the Jewish nation. When Aguna activists deny parental alienation, they are essentially denying children's rights to their fathers and fathers' rights to their children. This happens because of the Me movement, the selfish need of gratifying oneself and ignoring others. This is not what Tanis Esther symbolizes. When we fast on Tanis Esther, we need to remember and internalize the great leaders we once had who believed in equality and the importance of men, women, and children as a whole in the Jewish nation. Our past leaders were real problem solvers. They were able to discern between a real mother and a fake mother, a real Aguna from the fake Aguna. We need to mourn that we are leaderless today. Our leaders cannot discern right from wrong and cannot or will not be problem solvers. Instead, they follow in the direction of the wind. I will conclude with another famous story of a king, but this time a righteous king and a real problem solver called King Shlomo. There were two harlots who each had a baby. They both lived together. One night, one of the mothers rolled over her baby and inadvertently killed her baby. The next morning, they were arguing over the live baby, each claiming to be the mother of that baby. They took their dispute to King Shlomo, who was known to be the wisest man on earth. There was no DNA testing in those days to determine paternity, so King Shlomo ordered that a sword be brought and would cut the baby in half, each taking half a baby. The fake mother said, "I'm okay with that decision." But the real mother said, "Stop! Give her the whole baby." It was at that point that King Shlomo knew who was the real mother. A real mother wants her child to thrive physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The fake mother, or the mother who identifies with one of many Me Too movements, couldn't care less about the well-being of her child. So next time you encounter a fake Aguna activist who denies that parental alienation exists or supports a woman whom she calls an Aguna who is also alienating her children from their father, then you should know that she belongs and identifies with Queen Vashti. She does not identify with Queen Esther. Therefore, I say to the fake Aguna movement, you are mistaken to think that the righteous Queen Esther identifies with your cause. Your real hero is Queen Vashti. Thank you all for watching and see you all in the